Welcome to the doghouse. This is going to be plain and simple. It's called Shame on You. Shame on you people out there that has taken a child and used it for your money gains you are trying to do. It has nothing to do with protecting a child. And people are starting to see through what you people are doing. You're willing to use this child for dollars in your own pocket. That's at least how I see it and how it comes off as. Maybe if that ain't the case, you should explain yourself, because even what took place yesterday, exploiting that child to get clicks and views and running to your puppet master to get him info on what was going on. A child has a right to live as a child. A child has a right to have fun and enjoy herself. We as adults have no business stepping in and changing that for them. This is an exploitation that will follow that child for life. And every one of you that's doing that should be ashamed. If you were going out there giving her accolades and praise and all that, that's one thing. But when you're doing it like you're doing it, negativity, do you not think when she grows up, she is not going to see what you guys have done? Is it that hard not to see what you guys have done? You think she's going to walk up to you and say, thank you for what you've done for me? No. You are actually, whether you want to believe it or not, or if you believe it and try to deny it, either way, what you are doing is destroying a child because you do not like the parents. And I do consider the one a parent, even though not on the adoption papers. But when you go out there and destroy because you dislike somebody so bad and your syndrome of dislike is so bad, you're willing to throw that child under the bus for your own gains. You should all be ashamed of yourself for doing that. If you were out there, like I said earlier, if you were out there saying she's a great person, she's being taken care of and all this, that is one thing. If you would have been out there at her party saying, look at how kind and loving she is and how she's having so much fun, if you were out there praising her, that would be a plus. I cannot like you or I can like you, it wouldn't matter. It's the same thing. But when your syndromes are so bad of hate for parents, you're willing to step on a child to get to the parents. You are hurting the child. Don't you see that? Even if you were to believe that what you're saying, and most of you don't, because it is for money most of the time. If you really believe that, you would not say that because you would recognize what it's doing to that child. Phony protection, or I shouldn't say protection, but phony reports of neglect has been unfounded and unfounded and unfounded. Then you come up with excuses why they were wrong. Well, you are wrong for trying to destroy that child because that's exactly what you are doing. You are not helping that child at all. You say you want to help and protect that child. That's the least thing you want to do, because you're not out praising that child. You're out destroying that child. And you're a despicable human being when you do this. You may think it's funny because you're getting the money and all this crap. But guess what? Eventually it's going to catch up to you. Every one of you out there that went out there and has exploited this child because you hate the parents, you are the problem, not the parents. That is right. Every one of you out there that has been doing this is the problem. Not a one of you will stick up and say how great Harley is and how good she's doing because it don't fit your narrative. You won't make money off of it. Shame on you. You are the problem, not the solution. More and more people are seeing this. More and more people know exactly what you are up to. But as a narcissist would go, you won't see it because the money has taken over logic. Yes, I don't care if you go out and make millions of dollars. That's all well and fine. It's nobody's business but your own. But when you're trying to do it on the back of a child to get to the parents, to get to money in your account, you're shameful human beings. And that's exactly what you are, is shameful human beings. I may, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, some of these people in Otter Creek, I don't hate them. I hate the actions they're doing. Their actions are despicable. And there's a lot of people not even in Otter Creek. Their actions are despicable. I don't personally know them, so I can't say I hate them or like them. But their actions, well, I don't hate them really, but their actions are despicable. And I have the right to my own opinion. And this is exactly what it looks like out there. If this is not, maybe somebody should go on here, others that has channels, and explain why this is not the case. Because this is the way people are seeing it, and more people are seeing it this way. They're seeing how you're exploiting a child to get money in your own pockets. And I don't mean in a sense of you're using it to get to the parents. Nothing at all to do with anything else. You're not a child, you know what? I don't believe that. None of you are. Zero of you are on here, okay? And I just don't believe that. But when you're out there using it or insinuating that, you are the problem. You have become the problem. You're going in an area, in this case, what I was just saying, that should never be gone down because you don't have a clue to what you are saying. You are clueless. And you really are clueless. That child does not to be walked over for you guys to get to the parents. That is shameful and disrespectful and ignorance. Y'all, like the other day though, I questioned Christianity of some of this stuff, and a person said, you don't have the right to criticize somebody's Christianity. I have every right when I know what Christianity is. Every right. And just because you say out there saying it doesn't mean nothing. People are out there, and not one person, by the way, here. There are people out there saying how good of Christians they are and how God-fearing they are, but they're willing to step over this child to get to the parents. Explain to me how you're going to explain it to God, what you did. Remember, that money isn't going to go with you. Explain it to him. You can't, and you know it. See, I don't care if you like this other couple or hate the other couple. This has nothing whatsoever to do with that child. You guys have got her involved in a negative way. You haven't propped her up to say, hey, she's a good kid. You did everything to let her know, and you are putting that in her head now. When she grows up, that will be in her head. You are destroying that kid from within, and you don't give a damn because the money and the views are more important to you than a child. Shame on every one of you with that attitude. I don't care what you think about money or anything else. This has to do with a human being. And you're not much of a human being when you go out there and do this. This child does not deserve what is happening to her. Yeah, a lot of it she don't realize right now, but down the road she will. That only an evil person would do this to that child. Like I say, you can back this one guy 100%, but there, and that's fine. And I'm not saying don't back him, but the what's going on with that child should not be backed. Whether you back him or not, you should tell him, lay off that child. That what happened yesterday had nothing to do with that other person. It had to do with Super Dave and giving the child some stickers, which the adult name was on the envelope. Okay? So don't insinuate, you crappy people out there. You have no idea what it's like to see somebody that's really been in that situation. And what Dave is doing was not. They were asked for, Dave sent them to him. And that child likes Super Dave. You guys are despicable to even suggest it was something else. Some of these guys suggesting this was the same ones that said these signs that somebody made making out a person to be a you know what was wrong, which is still not proven they did. But it is okay to reverse it and do it the other way. You guys are pathetic doing this. It has nothing who you like or don't like. It's what you are doing to a child. Every one of you should be ashamed of yourself that has done this. And like I said, if you mention the child, go for it if it's in a good light and good sense. In other words, if you're giving that child all the kudos and saying your mom has treated you right or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you exploit that child for your monetary gains, and that's all it is, you can sit there and say it's for other things, and it's not. I'm not mentioning any names on here because this is not a one person deal here. This goes are wide enough where a certain person has some minions and because they're riding on his back for views and money, which is shameful in itself when you got to exploit a child to get what you want. You are very, very much part of the problem and not the solution. And no, people that are out there doing that are not real Christians. They can say they are real Christians. Them are words, them are not, but the actions say different. I can go out there and say all kinds of things as far as words go, and they may sound great, but if they're not followed by actions, they mean nothing. And as a Christian, you should know that. Or any religious. You don't even have to be religious. You don't even have to believe in God to know that ethics should always be put into place. In this case, ethics is to leave that child alone. Quit exploiting that child for your own gain. Shame on you. Not a one of you should be hanging your head high over this incident yesterday. I don't care who you are. And like I said, you could like these people, that's all well and fine. But you need to think about what they're doing to that child. No, it's not direct because they're using adults and not the child, but the child will recognize what's going on one day. And are you going to pat yourself on the back when she starts to realize this? Aren't you a really good person because you're doing this? You are out there fighting for the rights and this child, and you're going to do this because this is wrong. You're all a bunch of phony attitudes on this because you know what you're after and you don't care who you walk over to get to the person you want. And it's a shameful thing in life when you have to involve a child to do this. This is an This is putting that child in a place where she does not need to go. You're exploiting her to get to a mother and a father. You should be ashamed of yourself for even thinking about doing this. You think it's so cool to go out there and just ruin people's lives and all this crap. It is crap. Let me give you an example. Let's say this other person's in the right, drives by the fence, says that it's for his own protection. Dummy, if it was for your own protection, why are you driving by slow? If something was going to happen, it's more likely to happen when you're driving slow. Logic, people. That doesn't mean you have to like the other person. That means use a little bit of common sense here. Nobody in here is perfect. No one. Of course, a lot of people don't destroy a monument that's on somebody else's property either, but all this still goes back to a child and what you are willing to do to that child. And I'm going to repeat this again. I don't care if you like this other person or don't like him. Doing this and backing this person up for doing what they are with this child and everybody else that's doing this with this child is just a bad human being. And I tell you right now, this family has no clue who I am. They've only seen me on here. They'll probably never ever see me in person. But I ain't standing up for them because I believe everything they do, as they probably wouldn't believe everything I do. I'm standing up for that child. That is right. I'm standing up for the child, not you guys. And like I said, whether you like that person or dislike that person, that child should have never been used. And how do you sleep at night when you do that? You are so sycophants of what you are doing. Why is it okay for you to destroy a child to get to the parents? Now remember, a lot of this she has no clue, but she will one day. And you go and pat yourself on the back for what you are doing to her now. You're exploiting when it's wrong. Hate the parents. Dislike the parents. Leave the child out of it. But no, you can't do it because the dollar signs and evil has taken you over. No real Christian would do that to a child. None. So you can criticize me, and I was the other day because I criticized somebody if they was a real Christian or not. Guess what? Action tells you what a real Christian is. Action tells you what a real Christian is. Not the bunch of words coming out of a person's mouth, but the actions. What is this person's actions compared to his words? What are other people's actions compared to their words? And like I said, it's not one person. I'm not getting on one person. This is a blanket thing that I see out here. And what is out here and what is perceived to be out here. You people have put this out there, and this is what it looks like. If it needs corrected, it's you that needs to correct it for everybody. I would love to hear your explanation of what every one of you is doing to this child, what the long-term effects are. Go ahead, bring it out. Say what they are. Say what you're really going after her for. You ain't got the guts to come out and say the truth, because you know you would offend more people with the truth, and you'd probably lose subscribers if you did. And you know it, and the minions out there know it. And I mean, I could go in this city right now and find the same things, maybe not on, just because they're not on YouTube, that would do the same wrong things. And yes, I have seen others around me that are willing to put a child just that doesn't need to be involved in anything because they hate the parents. This is one thing that happens a lot all over this country and should not. I've seen teachers hate a brother or a sister, and so you're automatically going to follow into that. Not all teachers, but there are some out there that do this. But you cannot walk over children just because you do not like a parent. That is just so wrong and so disrespectful to that child. Of course, obviously, you guys don't really care. That money means to you more than a human being. It's disgusting and wrong to have this attitude. It just is. You could be a good person in one way, but if this is your attitude stinks and needs changed. Nobody on here is above screwing up. No one. I've screwed up a lot of times in my life. I guarantee you that. But I've never been to jail. I've never been to prison. Never been arrested. And I'm 66. And that's what I mean when nobody is perfect. I guarantee you nobody involved in Otter Creek is a perfect person. They've all did wrong, and most of them do right. I'm going to tell you right now, it pisses me off so bad, and it shouldn't, but it does. When I see things like this happen in a small town, it bothers me more than maybe a big town. It still would bother me, but when you go after and attack people in a small town where I grew up, and this is not even a partial lie, this is 100% the truth. The place I grew up was smaller than 100 in town. And we didn't even live in town, we lived about 20 miles out. It was 22 people. And you better believe anybody that grew up in a small town is willing to fight for what is right. And nobody has the right to exploit that child for money. And like I said, I don't care if a person goes out and praises child and all this. That's a good thing. That's what should be happening. Should not be going out there and trying to destroy her and say you're not because you're going after the parents. You have a syndrome towards the parents, a bad syndrome towards the parents, and you're willing to do anything possible and destroy anything in the way to make them miserable. You really don't care about that child at all. It's just a stepping stone for you, a pawn for you. You care less. It's all about the money in your pocket. And by the way, people, I'm not monetized here. Okay, I do more shorts than I do anything else. And there's no way I'd get that close quick. And I don't even know that I ever will. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but that's down the road, and I'm not even really considerate one way or other right now because I'm on here to enjoy myself, and my shorts do that for me. What I'm doing now is sticking up for a child that needs every person to stick up for. That's right, the child needs stuck up for. She does not need to be going what she's going through because of you lame people out there thinking it's okay. It's okay to make money, don't get me wrong, and I hope every one of you make a lot of money. I love seeing people make money, but not at the expense of stepping over a child. That is disgrace, despicable, and it needs to be taken care of. And I think eventually it will. And these people out here doing this and trying to destroy people will pay in the end. Not as some think they're going to, but them that are trying this will lose. And I'm not talking about in court or anything else, will lose in the public eye, and these people will be backed. That child will be backed by human beings with decent hearts. So you go right ahead and you shouldn't though, and try to go after that child to get to the parents. You are the evil people. You are the sick people in this country. Your greed needs stopped. And one day it will be. It won't be by me because I'm not even close to there. I've never been to Florida and never probably will be. My sister in Hastings passed away in February. That's the closest thing I had to somebody in Florida. And yeah, I miss her, but it's just the way it is. But so I'll probably never be in Florida, probably never meet people in person in Florida. That's not going to happen. But I do have the right to say my opinion, and I'm going to give that opinion. And like I said, it pisses me off so bad when I see this happen in a small town, because that's exactly where I'm from, is small town America. That's not a lie, that's not a bunch of BS. That is the exact truth. Any of you don't believe it, the biggest town was about 50 miles away from. I went to junior high and high school there. It's called Arco, Idaho. Look it up. First city in the world to be lit by atomic energy, too. So, yes, I stick up for people from small towns. And even a big town, when you come in and step over a child to get to the parents, you've got to be one of the lowest lice there is to do that. Your actions, you can be the greatest person, but you're showing your actions not so great. And I just don't get it, people, because you like one guy, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when stuff like this is done, you back this person over a child that does not need to be going through this. Shame on all of you. I hope you have great answers when you pass on to the next phase of your life, because your excuses will not get you too far. There is no such thing as bribing God. Just remember that.